Hello, and welcome back to the internet. I need to record this video right now because if I wait too late then I get sleepy and then I can't do anything. But let's jump into our first story called Choosing Beggars After a House Fire. So my husband's job was being transferred to another state. We were having to downsize from a 4,000 square foot home to a 1,500 square foot home in another state. We were about to have a huge yard sale to get rid of the items, like furniture, clothes, gym equipment, housewares, that we couldn't take with us. A friend I've known since kindergarten lost her home due to a fire just before we were ready to advertise our sale. My heart was broken for her and her family. I can't imagine how devastated I'd feel if I lost everything I have. I invited her and her family to come over and get anything we had for sale they might need. All they had to do was choose what they wanted and haul it away. I even offered them a place to hold any furniture they might want until they could find a more permanent storage solution. I really wanted to give as much as I could to help them start over. I should have known something was off when she complained about our conflicting schedules. I worked office hours, my hubby is second shift, friend worked graveyard shift, and her hubby worked second shift. We ended up taking a day off to accommodate their schedule. When they come to our house, I told her she could have anything that was marked with a post-it note. We'd priced what was for sale that way. She scoffed at the price tags, remarking several times at how high the prices were. I told her she could have, for free, any item with a tag. She went around the house, seemingly displeased at what I had to offer. She seemed offended that my nicer items, the ones I was taking with me, weren't things I would give to her. Like, no, I'm taking my flat screen TV and antique bedroom suit with me. She even scoffed at the clothing selection we had marked for the sale because they weren't her style. In the end, she only took the treadmill, elliptical, and the piano, saying they would do for now. Seriously? Yeah, I know this choosing beggar cat that doesn't do anything around the house, she sleeps all day, and then she demands that I treat her like royalty. Crazy thigh lady. So I used to work in KFC for a very short period of time. During my time there, I encountered a customer called the Crazy Thigh Lady. Every now and then, KFC had a promotion for a 9-piece chicken for $9.95 deal on Tuesdays. These were always our busiest days. Each bucket is supposed to contain 2 wings, thighs, ribs, leg, and 1 breast. However, as anyone that worked there knows, that's not going to happen most of the time due to other products being sold. Every now and again, you would have customers demanding certain pieces. Funniest I heard was 9 breasts. Dream on, bud. Anyway, to the crazy lady. She comes in one night and orders a few of the 9 for $9.95 deals, and requests as many thighs as possible to be put in. We managed to get her a few more thighs because it's not the most popular cut. When she collects her order in the window and sees she was only given 7 out of 9 pieces as thighs, and goes mental. She starts yelling that her kid only eats thigh pieces, and what is she supposed to do with the rest of these, etc. And then she throws the chicken through the window at us. Our manager gets called over and basically tells her to F off. She did come back to order from us still, and still requests her thighs, but never misbehaved again. I think out of fear from being banned at the only KFC around near us. Man, kids are just really weird about what they will and won't eat. I mean, every part of the chicken tastes exactly the same. In fact, I just went to KFC today, and you know what I got? That's right, a hamburger. He's finally gone, and all I had to do was nothing. Do you know that guy at work that everyone hates? The rude, obnoxious, lazy one that no one quite understands how he still has a job? Well, mine's name was Bob. For months, Bob partnered himself up with me, with a lovely 90-10 split of the work. Anytime I called out on it, he got more and more obnoxious. And if it was actually possible, did less and less work. On top of all his other charming traits, Bob is an absolute phone addict. This is bad enough in a regular setting. Where we work, it's actually very, very dangerous not to be paying attention to what's going on around you. I've mentioned this to Bob repeatedly to no avail, even after he was nearly hit by a forklift and almost had his head smacked by a robot. Our manager at this time said, "If you're stupid enough to die because you wouldn't put your phone down, no one's going to miss you," and ignore the behavior. My last straw at even attempting to get this guy to work and be safe was him snapping off, "Leave me alone about my freaking phone." Well, we just got a new manager, partially because of our former manager's attitude towards safety issues, partly because of poor performance. The new manager had a quick, to-the-point meeting at the beginning of our shift and stated very clearly, "I see your phone, you're fired. No excuses, no exceptions." Bob missed this meeting because he was running late, again. About 2 hours later, I see the new manager walking to our area. Bob, as usual, was head down staring at his phone. Remember when he specifically said to leave him alone about his freaking phone? Well, that's exactly what I did. Our new boss wound up standing behind him for a solid 3 minutes before Bob even noticed he was there. Bob was promptly escorted to HR, and I was apologized to by the new manager, because I'd have to run to the work area solo until a replacement was found. No big loss. The extra 10% is well worth knowing the guy won't be around anymore. Guess no one at that job will bother him about his dang phone again. You know, I'll be a little bit shameless here. I'm the first person to snitch out people who like to leech off and drag the rest of the team down. Like, I basically turn it into my second job, is just to try and get that person fired. Because once you actually accomplish this, then you're usually rewarded with a better partner. Well, now we get to move on to one more story before we have a pretty elaborate question. I turned off a radio station. So in the 90s, I was a technical operator for a radio station. Long story short, I made production elements for them and adverts on top of my other duties. New management came in and decided to only pay me for the tech op shifts I had done and nothing for the production. First month he was there, I had an invoice for a little over $3,000 and received a $960 check. I ran the overnights, so when midnight came, I moved all my production into a hidden folder in System 32, shut down the servers, threw the breakers, and left. I got a phone call in the morning and was asked to come in for a meeting. As I'd left them up the creek, I'd made pretty much 70 to 80% of all the adverts and production. The new boss was a jerk. He told me I'd damaged the production, which I just laughed at, as before he came in, it was a great 80s station, and he'd turned it into a top 40 station you could find up and down the dial. We'll call him Jay. I'd also found out that the sales staff were charging customers $200 for advert production. They were on 10% commission, and I was getting $40 for each advert, and they pocketed the rest on top of their commission. Bear in mind, the rest of the outsourced ad cost was $150 to $200. In the meeting, I laid out my demands. I say, I can restore everything, but I don't only want the money you owe me from the past month, I want the money from the previous advert your sales staff has pocketed from my work. They essentially made $160 extra from each advert on top of their commissions, around $300 to $400 a pop. He says, there's no way we can do that. I say, well, there's no way I can restore the adverts. He's looking at the pieces of paper on his desk. We can give you an extra $200 a month. I say, I want the whole amount. I handed him an invoice that totaled a little over $16,000. So the color drained from his face. Says, we... I say, Jay, you honor that invoice, or you'll have to recreate or outsource all of the production. He says, okay, let me see what I can do. I'll sort something out for your next invoice date. I say, Jay, if I don't walk out of here with the money today, you don't get them back. He says, as soon as you restore them, I'll see what I can do. I say, Jay, I will have no guarantees, and I'm not stupid. A bank transferred today, and we can sort that out right here and now. Jay then phones the head office, and within the hour I had every penny of it in my account. His face was a picture when he followed me to the server to watch me just move the files over from one folder to the others. I say, yes, they were right under your nose. So he gritted his teeth. You'd best get home and get some sleep. I say, no, good luck tonight. Within 5 hours I was in Spain, where I stayed for 4 weeks. When I got back, I did hear through the grapevine that the sales team were out for blood. Jay Bullock and blamed them for me being ripped off, and they all lost their commission for 3 months and just got basic pay to make up for the loss. I'm pretty sure the company made more than enough back from that to pay for my hostage negotiation. I used some of what was left to buy a laptop and started DJing around town for a few years. Back then it was a rare sight and used to get nerdy types on a night out, just hanging around the booths to see what I was doing with a computer in a pub. My friend used to say I looked like I was doing my homework. You know, for a big part of this story, I felt like he was in real danger of getting fired. But that's the thing, when you are irreplaceable, you have a lot of negotiating power. Well, now it's time to move on to the question, what was the dumbest thing you've ever been asked by a customer? I used to work in a pet store. One night, a woman came in and she said she had ordered a puppy off the internet, and he would be arriving in the next few days. She had never owned a pet and asked several dumb questions, but the one that I'll always remember is, do puppies need water? Yes, make sure you water your pets at least once a day or they will not grow to be a full dog. So I used to work at the UPS store in high school. Our last pickup was at 7 and we closed at 8 p.m. Since we had private information and people's personal mailboxes in the store, security was a big deal. It was 8:30, our tills were counted down, the alarm was set, our copiers, fax machines, and computers were shut down, our lights were off, and we had closed and locked a ginormous red gate that separated the entrance from the rest of the store. Some woman ran up to the door, and like some demon in a horror movie, she hurled herself against the glass and screeched like a banshee. Keep in mind, we are very obviously closed with a sign saying we are closed. No lights on, and a giant red gate drawn over the store. She began pounding on the glass and frantically yelling at us. My coworker worried something was wrong, like maybe she was being chased and needed help. He carefully opened the door and just cracked to ask what was wrong. She immediately tried to wedge her hands and head in the crack and asked, "Are y'all open?" We informed her that we obviously weren't. Her logic was, "Well, you opened the door, so now you have to help me." She began wailing and crying that she had to mail a package. We explained that even if we were open, our last pickup was an hour and a half ago, and we couldn't even mail it until tomorrow. She protested and protested, and we eventually got the door shut and locked. So we just stood there awkwardly in the dark, hoping she would leave. She kept pounding on the glass and saying, "I know you're open." As we debated what to do and if we should call the cops, this lady pulled out her cell phone and called the cops herself. The cops arrived, we explained the situation, and the woman accused us of lying, despite the sign on the door saying we closed an hour ago at this point. Then, in front of the officer and on security camera, the woman launched herself at my coworker and hit him in the face. She immediately jumped back and began fake crying that he had assaulted her. We were dumbfounded. She ended up getting arrested, and my coworker pressed charges. So the stupidest question I got was, "Are you open?" I mean, geez, it's only 8:30. Just go to Walmart or something. There are other places that are open, you know. I used to work at an enterprise rent-a-car. I went to pick up a customer. Worth noting, she was renting a car for a weekend getaway. I called her, then I got her apartment, and she came downstairs and had this conversation. She says, "Okay, I'll follow you back to the office." So me, confused, I say, "I'm here to pick you up and drive you back to the office." She says, "What am I supposed to do with my car?" I say, "Were you planning on leaving your car at our lot over the weekend?" She says, "No." So me, even more confused, "Why are you going to follow me in your car? I can drive you back to the office, finish the paperwork, and you can take the rental car from there." So this lady's just not grasping the concept. "Well, how are you going to get back?" I say, "I'll drive us both, in this rental car, back to the office, where we can both do the paperwork and you can take the rental car from there. That way, your personal car is still at your apartment, and when you return the car on Monday, you can drive the rental car back to us. We'll close out the paperwork and we'll give you a ride home. Sound like a plan?" She says, "That doesn't make sense. You're making this way too difficult. I'll just follow you in my car." So me, thinking the customer is always right, "Okay." We get back to the office, I finish the paperwork, still astonished she qualified to rent a car, and hand her the keys to the car. She says, "Okay, how do I get my car back to my apartment?" "Can you drive my car back to my apartment?" I say, "I'm not authorized to drive your car. You're welcome to leave it here on the lot over the weekend if you want." She says, "Okay, can you drive the rental car and follow me back to my house so I can drop off my car?" I say, "This is what I was trying to do when I picked you up. There was no need to take two cars." "I'd like to speak to your manager." You know, I refuse to believe this woman is serious. I think she's just a top-tier troll. When I was a teenager, I had a customer try to fight me because we didn't do the Taco Tuesday discount for him. It was the weekend. Well, we all know that forgetting the day of the week warrants a fight, so I think this was justified. I used to work in a phone shop. I had someone come in asking why their phone wasn't working properly. It was visibly scorched and melty. I asked why it looked that way. They said it came up with an error message saying that it had been too cold. Not an error message I had heard of before, but I know phones can bring up errors for being too hot, so who knows. And so they put it under the grill to heat it up. The grill. Their first point of call was to cook it. I said that's why their phone wasn't working, and no, it was not covered under the guarantee. Man, these stupid phone warranty companies, they don't cover your phone when you put your phone in the microwave or on the grill or anything like that. Well, what good are they? A woman came to check out and handed me a bag of mozzarella. She asked me what the ingredients were and if there were any chemicals in it. I turned the bag around and started to read the ingredients out to her. She grabbed the bag out of my hand, angrily said, "I could have done that myself," and stormed off. Yes, why are you making me read words when I could just have you read them aloud to me? I used to work at IKEA in the section which sold wardrobes. Big behemoths of things, normally around 6 foot long and 60 kilogram in boxes. Customers would regularly ask me if it would fit in their car. After being polite the first few times, asking them about the size of their car and guessing, I then just started asking them what color their car was. The amount of people who'd answer unfazed was amazing. "Hey, do you think this'll fit in my car?" I don't know, what color is your car?" Gray." I don't think so." Many years ago, I worked at Home Depot. One time I had a customer come up and ask me how to access the parking lot that's on the roof. I told him that we don't have a parking lot on the roof. He didn't believe me, got super pissed off, and stormed out of the store to look for the access to the rooftop parking lot. Another time I had a customer looking for a replacement cartridge for a faucet that he didn't have with him. If you don't know, there's literally hundreds of different types of cartridges. Anyways, I asked him what make and model of the faucet he had, and he responded with, "You're the one that works in the plumbing department, you tell me." I told him that there's absolutely no way I could know what type of faucet he has in his home. The guy labeled me as a racist and then stormed off. Another time I had a customer come up and ask where the cat food was. You know, Home Depot is usually the place people go if they are very handy and are good at do-it-yourself kind of things. But I reckon that these people are not really qualified to do anything themselves. Years ago, before the internet was a thing, I worked in a small electronics shop. One day I got a phone call and it went like this. He says, "Yeah, hi, I was just wondering, how far is it to your shop?" So me, a long pause, calculating how galactically stupid this question was, whether I was being pranked, and how a professional business person would handle this. I just say, "Oh, it's just a few miles away. Come on down." He says, "Okay, see you soon." No idea if he ever actually arrived. I got busy, and people came and went all day, but it was still the dumbest question I've ever received. You know, I haven't worked at a lot of jobs that even had customers to ask me stupid questions, but as I worked at a haunted house for all of October and September this year, there's a few that kinda stick out to me. One girl asked me, "What do we do if we're really scared?" I just say, "Scream." Another night there was this group of very drunk people, and this drunk guy says to me, "Hey, does anyone ever tell you you're cute?" And I just say, "Okay." And I just push him away, and then that was that. But that's all we have for today, so hope you guys enjoyed. Faye is being a little bit needy right now, so I have to go take care of that. So I'll talk to you guys later. Holy cow, you got hair everywhere. On top of all his other charming traits, Bob is an absolute phone addict.